Joining us now, National Co-Chair for Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign, Nina Turner. Nina, it is on. Tomorrow, more than 1,300 delegates are at stake. How do you see it shaping up for the senator?
It's on and popping, Stephanie, and I see it shaping up very well for us. We are motivated, energized. We believe that we're going to have a great showing on Super Tuesday. States like California, you know, just last night, almost 35,000 people showed up at a rally with Chuck D and other members of Public Enemy. So all across this nation, we are raring to go. So California, Massachusetts, I'm in North Carolina right now. We believe we're going to take this state as well, Virginia. So we are really excited about Super Tuesday.
Let's talk about last night and yesterday, because all of the top Democratic candidates were in Selma, Alabama yesterday for the commemoration of Bloody Sunday. And you just said it, Senator Sanders was in California.
Well, Senator certainly has participated in the commemoration of Bloody Sunday the last year, the year before that. And he certainly understands that the work of those marchers, what they were fighting for, which is to end racial disparity in this country, to make sure that African Americans and other people of color are treated with the dignity that they deserve, making sure that everybody has an opportunity to live their measure of the American dream. So Senator Bernie Sanders is out there making sure that what they fought for is realized. In his campaign, that is what we are standing for. Medicare for all as a right, not to commodify health care in this nation. Canceling student debt, which, by the way, Stephanie, would have, if we had done that in 2016, would have closed the wealth gap, the black-white wealth gap, from 12 to 1 to 5 to 1. And I can go on and on. The bottom line is that he is out there doing the work to make sure that the legacy and the lives of the people that sacrifice so much are brought to bear.
We know that income inequality is deeply divided by race in the state of South Carolina. We know this is important to Senator Sanders. It's part of your platform. Yet an overwhelming percent of black voters stood with former Vice President Joe Biden in South Carolina. How do you account for that?
Well, Representative Clyburn is a force. That's the bottom line. People in South Carolina work very hard. Shout out to Team South Carolina. We are going to keep going. What we were able to do in that state is really show folks that we were not going to take that state for granted. We were in there working really hard. And you know what? Congratulations to Vice President Biden. He has ran for president 3 times, and that is the first primary he has ever won. Senator Sanders has won 3 of the first 4 contests. And the bottom line is this, Stephanie, they are chasing him. We're not chasing them. So the black community is certainly not a monolith, and national polls, you know, the Harris X poll and others show very clearly that Senator Bernie Sanders is the top choice for African Americans nationally. So we are going to keep on pushing.
Do you see this as a 2-man race? Vice President Biden wants to.
I'm sure he does. Listen, I'm not going to count out anybody, Stephanie. I just don't roll like that. There are other candidates in this race. But what we know for sure is that Senator Bernie Sanders has a multi-generational, multi-racial, multi-ethnic, and multi-gendered coalition. I mean, we have almost 9 million donations into this campaign, the largest of any presidential campaign in history. Our #1 donor profession, teachers, baby, follow the teachers, follow the nurses, people who work at places like Walmart, Amazon, Target, the National Postal Service. These people are symbolic of the workaday people of this nation who really want to see some material changes in their lives. And they do understand this thing very clearly, that there is only one candidate that is willing to go all the way against a system, call out a rigged system, and has the capacity through a movement to take it to President Donald J. Trump. So if Democrats, if their #1 concern, besides health care, if their #1 concern is defeating the man in the White House right now, they need to come on and coalesce behind the champion, and that's Senator Bernard Sanders.
Well, if health and health care is a #1 concern, can we expect to be getting more information about Senator Sanders' health? There's been a lot more calls for it in the last week.
Oh, now, Stephanie, that's cold-blooded. Listen, the senator has given everything that is needed to be given. He's given everything commiserate with his colleagues. We have his cardiologist, his primary care doctor. Everybody's saying that Senator Sanders is fine. He submitted 3 letters. What else do folks want? He's out there on the trail doing the daggone thing and not stopping. I would double dog dare people to compare his schedule with other folks running for president. So he has given everything. And this thing right here, too, Stephanie, Senator Sanders is a man of integrity. When American people are asked, who do you trust? It is Senator Bernard Sanders. Knowing that about him, everybody should rest assured that if he couldn't be doing this, he wouldn't be doing this.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.